Arminius, the man who destroyed 3 Roman legions. In the year 9 A.D., one man led his people to deliver the most humiliating defeat in Roman history. His name was Arminius, and his revenge would stain the Teutoburg forest red with Roman blood. Arminius was born a prince of the Cherusci, a Germanic tribe living far beyond the Roman heartland. But as a boy, he was taken by Rome, not as a prisoner, but as a hostage, part of the empire's ruthless system to keep conquered peoples in line. He grew up in Roman military camps and marble cities, speaking Latin as fluently as his native tongue. They trained him as a soldier, taught him their tactics, their discipline, and their pride. By the time he was a young man, Arminius had earned Roman citizenship, a place among their cavalry, and the trust of the empire's most powerful men. But that trust masked a deep wound. Rome had crushed his people's independence, taxed them into poverty, and humiliated their leaders. To Rome, Germania was a wild frontier to be tamed. To Arminius, it was home, and home had been stolen. By 9 A.D., 3 full Roman legions, nearly 20,000 men, were stationed deep in Germanic lands under the command of Publius Quinctilius Varus. Varus was confident. The tribes seemed quiet, the roads secure, and standing at his side was Arminius. They saw him as their loyal guide, a bridge between worlds. But Arminius was playing a dangerous game. Behind closed doors, he walked among the chieftains of the Germanic tribes, tribes often at war with one another, and persuaded them to unite for a single cause: revenge. The plan was cunning. Arminius told Varus of a supposed rebellion deep in the forests. It was urgent, he said. They needed to march now, before the rebels slipped away. Varus believed him. Why wouldn't he? This was Arminius, decorated Roman officer, trusted ally. The legions began their march into the Teutoburg forest. But this was no open battlefield. The forest was dense, its paths narrow and winding. Rain fell steadily, turning the ground into a sucking mire. Wagons bogged down, soldiers struggled under the weight of their armor, and the long columns stretched thin over miles. And then it began. From the shadows, a war horn split the air. Germanic warriors burst from the tree line, their war cries echoing through the rain. Spears flew, shields clashed, and the disciplined Roman formation crumbled in the mud. For the Romans, it was chaos. They could not form ranks in the cramped, uneven ground. Everywhere, death came from the trees, arrows, javelins, and stones. Officers shouted orders no one could hear over the storm of battle. The first day ended with hundreds dead, but there was no rest. The Germans hounded them, striking from every side, melting back into the woods before the Romans could respond. On the second day, the sky turned black with rain. The forest floor became a river of mud. Soldiers collapsed from exhaustion, their wounds festering in the cold. Every Roman push forward was met with traps, felled trees blocking the path, pits covered in leaves and sharpened stakes waiting below. By the third day, the Roman legions were broken. Their famed discipline was gone. Survival was the only thought. Publius Quinctilius Varus, seeing the battle lost and unwilling to be paraded in chains, fell on his own sword. His officers followed his example. When the killing stopped, the forest was silent, but for the wind in the trees. Of the 20,000 Romans who had entered Teutoburg, almost none returned. It was the greatest defeat Rome had suffered in a century. News of the disaster sent shockwaves through the empire. The northern frontier was abandoned, and Rome would never again attempt to fully conquer Germania. For Arminius, it was the moment he had dreamed of, the day he avenged the humiliation of his people. But victory came at a cost. In the years that followed, the fragile unity of the Germanic tribes fractured. Enemies, both Roman and Germanic, plotted against him. And in the end, Arminius was betrayed and assassinated by his own kin. Yet his legacy endured. To his people, he became a symbol of freedom. To Rome, a reminder that even the mightiest empire could bleed. Arminius, the man who destroyed 3 Roman legions, all in the name of vengeance. So, was he a hero or a traitor to the empire that raised him? Tell me what you think in the comments.